I'm sure some of you have been wondering where I've been. So, like, again? I keep disappearing, don't I? So it really does mean the world to me.
And they just treat it like a joke. Oh man. Remember 5 months ago when I said I'm gonna be uploading every other week? Then I just disappeared for 5 months. Oh man. My wacky life. How does this not drive people up a wall? I didn't give this person any money and it's driving me nuts.
But that's not what you or I should take away from this. What we should take to heart is that mistakes are natural. I've installed countless CPUs into LGA sockets over the years, and this was the first time I've ever bent any pins, at least not that badly. Like, that's not a boast, it's the lesson. No matter who you are, sometimes you're going to screw up. Sometimes you're going to learn an expensive lesson. And as long as you can pick up the pieces, understand what went wrong, and
I mean, really, this would be driving me nuts if I had paid money for this. So you're gonna take all that time away, by your own admission, go radio silent, and then you're gonna come back with a lesson as if it's an episode of the Weird Al show. What? Why do I need a lesson? I didn't do anything wrong. There, that also shows how well they've been doing while they weren't uploading anything. They've been making so much money over these months that they're not uploading. Like, oh, I think I'll be good. I won't have to take any sponsors. That's the level of money they were making while they were doing absolutely nothing. And it just makes it very clear why they were so comfortable not uploading anything. They're perfectly fine just mooching, like the quartering, like Innuendo Studios, like Struthless. That these people completely take your money for granted. Almost half a year ago, Emily, formerly of Linus Tech Tips, put out a video. I left Linus Media Group. What do I do now? And in this video, they announced that they would be doing their own solo venture. And they kind of overviewed what they would be doing with this channel, upload schedule, that sort of thing. They also announced that they had a Patreon, and the Patreon did pretty well. They got around 500 paid members at that time. But then they didn't really seem to follow the plan that they said they'd be going ahead with. It was quite different from what they said they'd be doing. And I'll show you what they said in this video before we get into the newest update. But to me, this is very indicative of the stuff that we've seen with the Innuendo Studios, the Quarterings, the Struthlesses of the world, where these content creators are more than happy to mooch off of their fan base as much as possible. If they find out that they can make money providing little or no value, they're perfectly happy to do that, and they'll do it as much as they can. And it really bothers me. It disgusts me, honestly, that they're so content to take advantage of these people when they already have such a great position to be making money in the way that they are. But that's not enough for them. They have to mooch and fleece their fans for everything that they can and do the least amount of work that they possibly can. So here's what Emily said 5 months ago.
so here's how I think this is going to work. You probably noticed this video is monetized. Why? Well, aside from being able to pay rent this month, which I definitely do want to do, I want to get a feel for how feasible it is for me to go without using things like mid-rolls that disrupt the flow of a video.
The Sega Genesis has blast processing. Super Nintendo doesn't.
I'm also looking to figure out if I can do all of this without sponsorships. Like, I mean, if sponsorships came my way, I might consider them, but I'd like to be very careful about who I sign with. I'd want to use my own voice rather than simply like parroting talking points, you know? Like VPN sponsorships. They're common on YouTube. But I'd like to actually educate people on how to use them. And I need to have used the product or service before. I'm not going to say anything that I disagree with, and that's something that I'm going to take directly from LMG. But
And that's great if you want to do it. I really don't care at all what types of sponsorships these YouTubers take. I don't care if they do the sports betting stuff. I don't care if they do those established titles where everybody says that's a scam because, oh, you're not actually getting a plot of land in Scotland or whatever it was. I, I think if you have any sense, you realize that's a gag gift, like buying a star or something like that. Right? As long as you're not lying about it, I really don't care all that much. It has to be pretty egregious for me to care. But if you want to go above and beyond that, that's fine. That's great. But in order to do that, you have to be doing pretty well. It's something of a privilege to be picking and choosing what sorts of sponsorships you take. And it's interesting, Struthless said something very similar in his begging video, where he said he was offered, I think, 6 figures to do a sponsorship for somebody, but he didn't want to do it. I think it was for BetterHelp. And it's like, fair enough. I don't know, BetterHelp, that's another one people have issues with. But I don't understand how you think it's better to take advantage of your audience and just take their money in exchange for nothing rather than provide them a service that might not really be all it's cracked up to be. Personally, I would rather get a subpar product than absolutely nothing out of my money. But apparently that's not how a lot of the viewers and fans of these people feel.
Some channels don't have sponsorships. And if I can do this without them, I will. But the only way to do that is with direct support from, well, regular viewers out there like you. And that is a difficult topic for me. Like,
Did that seem at all genuine?
there are viewers out there like you. And that is a difficult topic for me.
I mean, that just seems so performative. Yeah, I don't believe that it's difficult for you at all when you performatively act like, oh, and guys, oh gosh, I just really hate to do this, but I gotta ask you for money. And I know, I really, truly, I hate to do this, but please give me, it's like, come on. Just say you got your Patreon or whatever. Nobody cares.
For me.
But the fake acting about it, that's obnoxious.
Like, I wanted to establish myself on my own merits before taking people's money for basically just work that I did at LMG. For those of you who sent super thanks when I got monetization for the channel and accidentally retroactively enabled them, well, thank you. Genuinely. You have no idea how much that support means to me morally. But at the same time, people have also legitimately asked, do I have a Patreon that they can send money to support me? And I
mean, this is driving me nuts. Am I just too cynical? This seems so performative and fake to me. I don't believe you're this upset at the idea of setting up a Patreon. I just don't believe it. It's not a compulsory thing. It's completely voluntary if anybody wants to sign up for your Patreon. Why would it be so hard to say, hey, if you want to give me money, you can give me money? The same thing literally thousands of other content creators do.
I don't know. It's something that is just so completely out there for me because I don't see my own worth in the same way that a lot of people seem to. It kind of blows my mind. Here's the compromise. I can commit to only so much right now. So I'm gonna launch a Patreon, so you can support me if you want, but think of it more like a tip jar. I can offer some of the standard stuff like videos a day early, names in videos, a Discord server, maybe some behind the scenes stuff or updates on what I'm working on, but I can't really do much else for that right now. If that sounds good to you though, you can find the link in the description. But please, don't feel like you need to.
Yeah, and that's also fair enough. I don't have a problem if your Patreon is you're basically not offering anything. Because I don't know who actually cares about, oh, you get the vid a day early or whatever. There are some people, like Too Lazy to Try, Podcast Cringe, where they do exclusive videos only on their Patreon. I think H-Bomber guy does that sort of thing too. I mean, that seems like a genuine perk. But if you want it to just be a tip jar or whatever, that's fine. Go for it. I just hate the hand wringing.
I'm still going to be making the videos. And to start with, I'm aiming for a bi-weekly schedule to accommodate for, well, let's call it training.
Bi-weekly. So every other week, they're going to be uploading a video. That's what they're saying 5 months ago. Well, take a look at their channel here. That video was 5 months ago, and 9 days ago they made the first upload since then. So not even close to that bi-weekly schedule. And you take a look at their Patreon. I think you could check here. Just show you 500, not quite showing, 559 paid members there. And you go, we'll take a tour on their entire Patreon history here. So branding is hard. In the run-up to launching the channel, I realized that I needed to do something other than just have a selfie for a profile picture. They're announcing that video that we just watched a little bit of. Welcome to the party. Hey everyone, I don't know how many of you there will be, so I feel kind of weird writing this now, but I just want to say it's directly. Thank you all so much. Then here, let's see, I think that one's after the video. What was this? What's the date on this? January 28th is when they put out that video. Then yeah, January 31st, they say, there's no way for me to express how amazing the response has been to the channel launch. There's no way for me to get to all of you. Then February 6th, like a week later, they announced, oh, I'm going to do this workstation build stream. You can't see that on their channel, but I'm assuming it's just on Patreon somewhere if you actually pay. Then March 5th is their next upload. So almost a full month later. Hey everyone, thank you all again for the support so far. I'd like to take some time to give you all an update on what's been going on over here. And then March 27th, so like 3 weeks later. So this is what's been going on in the past little bit. If you're in the Discord, you know that it's pretty much been resolved now, but I've had to adjust plans for the new workstation build video and also a video about the things that led me to this tragedy. And they show some tech mishap there. And then March 31st, a couple days later, potential YouTube title, the program that runs everything you own. Hey guys, it's about time I started posting these. And it's a script draft, which, I don't know why anyone would care about that, but at least it's something. And the next update, July 7th, entire months later. Hey everyone, thank you so much for your patience so far. First and foremost, I need to apologize for the lengthy delays and the radio silence. So it's not even that they haven't been uploading. They haven't been updating people on this at all. They started the Patreon, said, I'm going to shoot for bi-weekly uploads. Did not do that at all. Took them 5 months to upload another video. And in this video, it really makes no sense why they couldn't have made content in the meantime, right? I understand why maybe there would be some delay or you wouldn't be able to make as much as you had planned, but there's really no reason they wouldn't have been able to make any content, and especially no reason for the radio silence.
I carefully calculated each and every aspect of my new workstation build, meticulously cable managed everything, but ever since the very first power on, there were signs of trouble. And it only went downhill from there. In case you were wondering, yes, this is in fact why it's been so long since I posted a video. I wanted it to be about this workstation. And yet, well, let me tell you the story of the nightmare that followed. While the motherboard I chose, the
So you'd think, if it was such a nightmare and you had so many problems, could you not have done some videos along the way of you trying to fix this issue? That would be totally within the spirit of what this channel is supposed to be. But instead, no, radio silence and no videos. Just gonna take the money from the 500 people a month and do who knows what, really. Like, obviously, some of the time they were working on this, but I just don't believe them that it took the entire time, the entire 5 months to work on this.
X870E Aorus Master is known to boot up sort of slowly. It seemed like half the time it would just fail. Worse still, sometimes it would boot up with only half the memory detected. And that an intermittent problem like that is always a royal pain to deal with no matter what you're doing, because whenever you do, it may not be obvious if your fix worked or not. So I started with the obvious culprit, memory. First, I reseated the sticks to make sure they were making good contact, and I carefully dusted them with some compressed air just in case the dusty environment I live in might have been an issue. No change. I tried one stick of memory at a time, No change. I tried the other memory channel. Maybe one of them was weak. No change.
Like, am I wrong? Is this not exactly the sort of thing that you could make a video out of? How to troubleshoot this problem and then go through the steps, right? Maybe you wouldn't be able to do the every other week a video schedule. Fair enough. I don't understand how possibly it's 5 months with no videos at all, and by their own words, radio silence.
I spent days running memtest86 with different settings just to see if there was a memory problem at all. Each run of 4 passes felt like it took forever, because they kind of did. And each time I tried new settings, I'd have to sit there and wait for about 5 minutes for the computer to go through its memory training process again, which is the techie way of saying the PC is configuring itself to run the memory. You can imagine how much fun it was to wait for this, for every little memory settings tweak I made. In situations like this, where your PC has a memory problem but the memory doesn't seem to be at fault, the next step is to look to the CPU. Modern CPUs use so many pins on such tiny...
Like, I would think you could do a video on the memory sticks there, and what you'd look for to figure out whether that is or isn't your problem, and then you move on to the CPU, and that's another video, no?
Package that it's very easy to have problems like these if, for example, there's dust between the CPU and the pins on the motherboard socket. It's also common on AMD's AM5 socket that over-tensioning the cooler can push the CPU down hard enough that it pushes the pins away from the contact pads on the CPU. So I pulled off the cooler, cleaned everything up, and pulled the CPU from the socket. Didn't see anything immediately suspicious, but I decided to very gently spray some compressed air over the pins, just to be sure. I then cleaned the CPU's pads with isopropyl alcohol to remove any dust or, skin oil or any other debris that I couldn't see, and reseated everything. I even stole the CPU from my partner's PC to try that. No change. I felt like I was losing my mind at this point. I'd already updated the...
So, if this has gone on so long that you're losing your mind at this point, surely that's enough to make a couple videos out of, right? If you're losing your mind over something that can't even make up 2 videos, well, you got a completely different problem there, right? If it's that bad, you're losing your mind, I think there's enough content there to make a couple videos.
The BIOS as soon as I got the system built. Did that fail somehow? In the days and weeks since building it, several new BIOS revisions were released by Gigabyte, all claiming to improve memory compatibility. So I flashed the BIOS again, and flashed it again to make sure. And, well, it kind of looked good that last time. It was stable for about a week, or at least it felt that way. The problem was, while it seemed stable enough to move in and turn my old workstation into a NAS, which I did.
So this is why I had no backup PC. But you don't need a PC to make these videos. Sure, it might not be to the quality that you want, but you can still be putting out content, right? You have a phone, and I probably won't get into this, but there's this video from when they were on Linus Tech Tips channel still, and it's the first Intel 5000 Extreme Tech upgrade ever. And in this video, it's just Linus
Place it
hooking
among
them
the
up
best.
with $5,000 of computer equipment and stuff as part of the sponsorship, right? So I'm pretty sure this person has enough tech laying around that they'd be able to upload some basic YouTube videos. I'm just not believing that we were totally disabled from doing that.
What I didn't know was that there were still more issues that hadn't shaken out yet. From time to time, the system would hard lock, usually if I attempted to use my capture card. No blue screen or anything, just a hard freeze, and then a reboot. Windows would log no errors, and when the system would come back up, the wireless card would be missing in action. And it wouldn't be long before it would just be like that. And at first I kind of welcomed this because the Wi-Fi adapter's small maximum PCI Express payload size reduced the efficiency of everything else connected to the chipset, which meant my capture card no longer had the bandwidth to run at full quality 4K 60, all of which is a topic for a future video. But even if I liked the Wi-Fi adapter gone, it was still a problem that I needed to fix. By this point,
Oh, a problem you need to fix, also known as a potential YouTube video. The whole time they're going through this, I truly do not understand why these could not be made into their own YouTube videos, even if it's recorded on your phone.
I suspected something was up with the motherboard itself, but for now, I figured I'd try disabling the Wi-Fi adapter to make sure that that wasn't the problem. Except you can't disable the Wi-Fi adapter. That's right. Not only is Gigabyte's setup utility missing some pretty critical options, but many of the options that are there are missing descriptions. If you have a recent Gigabyte motherboard and you're looking for some options, check the AMD CBS menu. For whatever reason, most of the stuff related to the chipset has just been stuffed in there and have no equivalent option in the main menus. It was discovering this that led me to trying to figure out which PCI Express port out of these options the Wi-Fi adapter was connected to so that I could just disable it for testing. But it was at that point that the system decided that it no longer wanted to boot at all. No matter what I did, I could not get it to come back up. The code the motherboard stopped on suggested it may be a CPU issue, so reluctantly, I decided to check the pins one last time. It's worth noting at this point
That, to me, really seems to confirm that they were being performative and acting with the Patreon thing. That sigh there was very similar to the, and guys, at this point in the video, this is where I have to ask you for money, right? I I don't know. I just don't believe that that was their genuine feelings being expressed there.
I was getting pretty fed up. While I was pretty sure the motherboard was the issue, I had to at least rule out the CPU for certain. After all, I hadn't tested a different CPU in it since updating the BIOS. So, with the machine on my last nerve, I pulled the cooler and removed the CPU. This is the worst nightmare of anyone who's ever installed a CPU in an LGA socket like this. The end result was more damage than is possible to fix manually, and so, while this particular motherboard was a fine example of a dumpster fire.
So that's what they put on their Patreon here, I'm pretty sure. That's what this is, right? March 27th. See, but at that time, they're a month in. I haven't made any videos. With the number of problems they've had, they could have totally kept to their schedule. They would have had at least 2 videos they could have made out of everything they've done so far. Easily. And they could have had some extras built up so they could schedule them ahead of time.
My incessant need to troubleshoot it means I will never get my chance to send it back to Gigabyte under warranty. In fact, as of writing this, my desktop was a Steam Deck. I wrote this script on a Steam Deck. Actually, while I was stuck with the desktop, I realized that the GPU was actually locked to 500 megahertz in desktop mode, but you can fix that by installing Decky and Power Tools. And then you can launch Steam Big Picture mode and adjust the settings to taste. Enjoy your responsive desktop. I know I am after struggling for a bit. But okay, I f***ed up, kicking myself over and over.
So also, it seems like maybe they could have used the Steam Deck there to help them. But I think you have enough there to upload the YouTube video to YouTube, right? Even if it takes forever, I mean, that doesn't really matter. What, maybe it takes, even if it takes an entire day, which I wouldn't think it takes that long. Videos I do, it usually takes less time to upload them than the length of the video. It's around the same amount of time. Hour-long video would take about an hour to upload to YouTube or so. Maybe a little bit less. Usually it's a little bit less. Maybe on a Steam Deck it takes more than that, but surely that's better than putting out nothing for months. well, people are paying you for what you said were going to be bi-weekly uploads. It really bothers me to see this over and over and over again. Obviously, Innuendo Studios was the first one that really did this, and I don't think what Emily did here is as bad as Innuendo Studios, because Innuendo Studios just ran around like a chicken with his head cut off, acted as if it was impossible to make a budget, to cut down on expenses, to move outside of Boston or whatever big city it was that he's living in, and pay his taxes. So then he just straight up asked for money to be bailed out. And then you saw Struthless, who said that he saw somebody else do this. I don't think he actually named Innuendo Studios, but he said that he saw another creator do that, just ask for money and get bailed out. And he got, I think, 200,000 Australian dollars just by asking for it. And he said eventually he'll explain why why exactly he was in the situation that he was. All he says is that he signed a bad contract, and we're supposed to feel bad enough for him for that. That, oh, let's just hand over money because he vaguely says that he signed a bad contract. And then the Quartering runs his coffee business like it's a charity. He's had to ask for bailouts multiple times along the way, literally saying the word bailout in one of the more recent campaigns that he did to keep his company alive. And it really bothers me the way that these content creators take their audience for granted and are more than happy to just ask for money and provide little to zero value. And it just seems to be becoming more and more and more common. Tom Nichols did the same thing. Another lefty guy. Essence of Thought. That's another one that they did the same sort of thing. And Xander Hall, a little bit different, but same sort of thing. It's I don't know why the audience is continually okay with this sort of stuff, but because they are, I think it's just going to become a worse and worse problem because it's been crazy the last few months how many creators I've noticed doing this sort of thing where they're perfectly fine to just mooch off of their audience. Because I think about it sort of in the way, say a buddy of yours goes through a divorce or something like that, loses his job, whatever it is, and you say, hey, man, well, you're getting on your feet. You can stay at my place. I have an extra bedroom while you figure things out. And then they move in and they're there for months and months, and it doesn't really seem like they're putting in all that much effort to getting a better job, finding a place, whatever it is. Every time you ask them about it, they're like, oh yeah, I gotta really lock in and be better about that, but there's never any real progress. That would drive you nuts, right? And I think most people, if they were in the situation where somebody's letting them stay at their place temporarily, they would think, oh, this person's really helping me out right now. I don't want to take advantage of them. I don't want to be a mooch. So I'm going to do everything I can to get out of this situation as quickly as possible. So I'm not taking advantage of their kindness, of their hospitality. But for some reason, these YouTubers have gotten so comfortable that they think they're entitled to just living in your second bedroom for as long as they want. They should never have to get a new job. They're just going to kick their feet up, watch TV in your living room day after day. And none of the audience seems to have a problem with it. They completely validate these people, not only by giving them money, but if you read the comments, they're verbally validating these people too. I don't understand it, and it bothers me. It disgusts me.
And looking at options, I could try and send it back to Gigabyte and pay for repairs, but that would mean even more downtime. I could buy a new motherboard, but now I'm second guessing my choices. Like, do I go with another Aorus Master? Do I go with Asus or MSI? Like, if my capture card is going to be limited by the Wi-Fi adapter anyway, I might as well switch to something external.
If you wanted feedback on that, a good thing would have been to be updating your audience about this sort of stuff, and then you could have asked for feedback, right? Maybe people who have more specific experience could have recommended something. But no, nope. Let's just go radio silence for months.
Capture card is going to be limited by the Wi-Fi adapter anyway. I might as well switch to something external. So the loss of one PCI Express slot isn't really going to kill me. New problem though.
Oh, you notice this part that they bought, I'm assuming this is the one that they got, 320 bucks. So clearly they're doing all right with money at this time. And I think That is part of why they're so comfortable not uploading videos. Like, hey, if I'm comfortable, I got money coming in, what's the rush?
Loss of one PCI Express slot isn't really going to kill me. New problem though. I could not have picked a better time to destroy my motherboard if I wanted to jump ship. There are plenty of Aorus Masters to go around in Canada, but no competing ASUS or MSI X870E boards, at least at time of, well, doing this. Only Aorus. Gee, I wonder if that means anything. Whoa, future Emily here. Weird, I don't remember wearing that. Anyway, while I was at the Canada Computers checkout with a new Aorus Master motherboard...
I mean, do you remember every outfit that you wear? You're basically just wearing a palette shift of the same outfit. This might be a collared shirt, now that I'm looking at it. It's like a cardigan over a plain t-shirt. V-neck, sure, whatever. You really remember all of these different outfits? I don't remember that, and I film myself most days.
Anyway, while I was at the Canada Computers checkout with a new Aorus Master motherboard being rung up, I noticed on the shelf an open box ASUS X870E-E. And as much as I'd love to test another Aorus Master to see if it had the same troubles, the gap between me posting my channel intro and actually making another video was and is way too long. So I examined the...
Is that all we get? Just simple recognition that it was and is way too long. I mean, that is a very meager recognition.
The gap between me posting my channel intro and actually making another video was and is way too long. So I examined the socket, pins look...
Yeah, they're just going into sockets. Also, this part, so it sounds like in the story that they're telling, instead of going with the part they were talking about earlier, they're going to go with this one instead. That's $700. Like, man, your fans are funding you so much that you can spend $700 on a computer part and just be totally fine. Right? Like, you can just spend $700 on a laptop, and that would be enough for you to upload YouTube videos. It's probably going to take a while for stuff to upload, but you'll be fine. And it's better than nothing.
looked good, and I took home the ASUS, funky box flap and all.
Okay, yeah, so this is they bought that $700 part.
I'm not that mad about having to do this, even though it does suck to be at another $700 Canadian. Yeah, motherboard pricing is rough lately. The board is legitimately impressively built, though, with a lot of really nice features, so if it works, I'm happy. And so far, it actually works great. The system's been rock solid for a couple of weeks now, and the extra high-speed USB port...
It's been rock solid for a couple weeks now, but this is still the first video we're getting.
...it's provided by the X870E-E are really appreciated. It even turns out that it has one of the few Wi-Fi adapters that has a PCI Express maximum payload size greater than the minimum, so it's not slowing down the rest of the chipset, at least not as badly. How about that? But, I mean, as happy as I am to have a working motherboard, I am so tired of troubleshooting at this point. Like, if I ever see memtest86 running on this machine again, it'll be too soon. The idea behind this build was that it would be well-balanced and stable, and the initial results were anything but. Just goes to show that despite the best intentions, no plan survives contact with the enemy, and moreover, a single mistake can be an incredibly expensive lesson to learn. Off the heels of me...
That kind of makes it even more irritating, that she's basically saying this is a problem that she caused herself. But they don't feel any responsibility to make up for the fact that their own mistake is making it so they supposedly can't upload any videos. It's not even as if it was an act of God, the studio flooded or something like that. No, they messed up when they were fixing their computer. So you, the people who fund her through Patreon, you get punished. You get none of the content that you were promised when you signed up.
Me saying that I'm not an expert, it certainly feels like it fits. But that's not what you or I should take away from this. What we should take to heart is that mistakes are natural. I've installed countless CPUs into LGA sockets over the years, and this was the first time I've ever bent any pins, at least not that badly. Like, that's not a boast, it's the lesson. No matter who you are, sometimes you're gonna screw up. Sometimes you're gonna learn an expensive lesson. And as long as you can pick up the pieces, understand what went wrong and
I mean, really, this would be driving me nuts if I had paid money for this. So you're going to take all that time away, by your own admission, go radio silent, and then you're going to come back with a lesson as if it's an episode of the Weird Al show. What? Why do I need a lesson? I didn't do anything wrong.
why, you'll end up better and more experienced for it. The vast majority of my technical knowledge and expertise started out as me tinkering and breaking things, and I imagine the same is true for a lot of enthusiasts out there. So, this was a disaster, yes, but it's a disaster that I can learn from, and it's a disaster you can learn from too. In a roundabout way, this is actually
Oh, yeah. I want to learn from the person who said, I'm going to upload a video every other week. Please sign up for my Patreon, and then goes radio silent for 5 months. That's the person that I want to learn from. This person, they have it all figured out. Truly a model citizen that just says, hey guys, this is what I'm going to be doing with my channel. Video every other week. Could you please support me on Patreon? It would mean a lot. It'd be very helpful in me being able to put out a video every other week. And then just does nothing for 5 months, then comes back and has a lesson for you.
the kind of experience I wanted to bring to the channel in the first place. It just, and
Wait,
it's a disaster you can learn from too. In a roundabout way,
oh, really? So that's we could have learned from. You know what would have been a good way to facilitate that? Uploading videos about this along the way. Right? Because this was so surface level, nobody's really going to learn how to fix any of these problems from this video.
this is actually the kind of experience I wanted to bring to the channel in the first place. It just, would have been nice.
And they say this is the type of stuff they wanted to bring to the channel anyway. So why didn't you? I don't understand how these YouTubers get away with it. And everybody's just totally happy and down with it, right? 15,000 likes, 647 made up dislikes. Those are almost always overestimated. So everybody loved this. They thought, oh, this is great. Oh, welcome back. It's only been 4.5 months longer than you said it would be.
I wanted to bring to the channel in the first place. It just, would have been nice if it had happened to a less expensive, less mission critical part of my operation. And speaking of mission critical, I have to thank my supporters on Patreon, Ko-fi, and Ko-fi, I've heard both, and YouTube memberships, because without them, there's no way that I could.
So then all of that, there's almost no recognition of the fact that they did not even get close to the every other week upload schedule. They just provide what I would say is kind of a BS reason for why they didn't upload anything in that time. As I've said, I would understand if they didn't upload every other week exactly while they had this going on. But there's been absolutely nothing for months. Hardly any recognition of it at all, other than I think they said it has and is too long since the last upload. It has been and is too long since last, something like that. That's basically all they said. And then they just go into a Patreon plug right after that. And so then on top of the 500 people on Patreon, they're also getting who knows how much from the YouTube memberships. It looks like it's a roughly comparable amount, at least based off from what I'm seeing of these lists so far. And the Ko-fi, I think that's just one-time donations, but who knows? And clearly they were doing fine. They're buying a $700 part while they're not uploading anything. Like, no, who needs ad revenue? I'm fine. I'm getting funded.
Could absorb this kind of mess. In fact, I owe every one of you my gratitude because it's been so long since I've released the channel intro that I'm sure some of you have been wondering where I've been. So, like, I mean, again? I keep disappearing, don't I? So it really does mean the world to me.
And they just treat it like a joke. Oh man. Remember 5 months ago when I said I'm gonna be uploading every other week? And then I just disappeared for 5 months. Oh man. My wacky life. How does this not drive people up a wall? I didn't give this person any money and it's driving me nuts.
That you've stuck around. And with any luck, I'll be able to get back into the swing of things now that this whole thing is behind me. The support I've received so far has been nothing short of overwhelming, and I've met so many awesome people as a result. I really hope to make the best out of the opportunity that you've given me here, all of you. Since posting the channel intro, my subscriber count has absolutely exploded.
What is making the best of this opportunity you've been given look like? 3 videos a year? That's what we're set for at this pace. Wow, guys, I can't thank you enough. And that's why I'm going to be uploading 3 videos for you this year.
From 36,000 to nearly 92,000. It's entirely possible that this is the video that'll get me a silver play button, which is just crazy to think about. Now, there is no pressure at all to do so. But if you would like to support me directly, supporters from the Tech Student tier and above get exclusive access to the Patron Discord, and there are also other goodies sprinkled in here and there as well. It's thanks to your support that I should be able to make this work without sponsors, so I can pick and choose who I want to partner with.
There, that also shows how well they've been doing. Well, they weren't uploading anything. They've been making so much money over these months that they're not uploading. Like, oh, I think I'll be good. I won't have to take any sponsors, right? If there's one that comes along and I really like them and I want to do it, then I will do it. But I'm not in a position where I have to take any of these if I don't want to. That's the level of money they were making while they were doing absolutely nothing. And it just makes it very clear why they were so comfortable not uploading anything. They're perfectly fine just mooching, like the quartering, like Innuendo Studios, like Struthless, from their audience. And it truly, truly drives me insane that the majority of the audience is not bothered by this sort of stuff. How? How does it not bother you that these people completely take your money for granted?
If I want to partner with anyone. But if you can't or don't want to, that's really not a big deal.
I don't want to.
Just watching the videos and interacting is super helpful all on its own. Thank you all, and I hope you've learned.
All right, well, if my view is helping you, I hope this video that I'm doing right here counteracts my 1 view at the very, actually it's probably like 2.5 views at this point. All right, I do not want to be a net positive to Emily's channel. All right, not until she turns this thing around and at least approaches that bi-weekly schedule.
Something from this mess that I made. My next video is probably going to be about how and why I built this machine the way I did. I really did have it all planned out.
And it's just jokes. It's just jokes to them. Really, I don't understand how you don't get irritated with this if you gave her money. Or any of these other YouTubers that I mentioned. How do you not get bothered when Innuendo Studios, after taking all of that money, goes on talking about going on vacation to Japan, and it's like, oh yeah, I'm not paying taxes on this either. Arguing with people in the comments on their Patreon whether or not they should have to pay taxes on it. Like, yeah, maybe I'll talk to an accountant about it. I mean, could you show your thanks any less? Could you be any more ungrateful? And that's it. Very funny. Lint roller on the stuffed animal. So what do people think about this? One of my favorite genres of videos is walking through a mistake. Oh, really? So this person here is saying they would have loved to see exactly what I was talking about. That's one of their favorite genres. I learned a bunch from this video, and I so appreciate you for putting it together. Can't wait for the next one. that it works for a week after replacing something, and then it turns out the intermittent problem still exists is a familiar and sharp pain. They're just totally sympathetic. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. I hate it so much. At my old job, I used to work at a place that did contracted out warranty repair for Dell motherboards. My job was to test them before and after the repair. I'd set up and tear down about a dozen boards every day. Once, when I was relatively new on the job, I bent a pin on an LGA socket and proceeded to apologize to my boss and tell him I won't do it again. Don't worry, he said. You will. So it sounds like it's a fairly normal problem. It's going to happen pretty commonly if you're doing this sort of stuff. But somehow, it causes a 5-month delay in the upload schedule. On a $700 motherboard, about 3 days worth of debugging, and it's going back to the manufacturer. That's too expensive to need to spend all the troubleshooting time. Remember, your time has value, and if you pay a premium price for a product, then demand premium customer service. Okay, so this person, that's the most pushback I've seen so far. They're saying, yeah, you shouldn't have spent all this time on it. You should have just sent it to the manufacturer to get it fixed. You know, the calm demeanor gives me technology connections vibe. I like it. Good luck with your PC. Really. The real lesson here is just the cost of your time. You are at a phase where you cannot buy more time, hire staff, and you can never buy more of yourself. A $3,000 MVP or new Mobo in your case is cheap compared to 4 months spent investigating a desktop issue. I've made the same mistake several times. I love digging into technical problems when running my own business, software dev. It can seem logical to save money, but at a certain point, you enter sunken cost land. An even used Facebook Marketplace PC would have been a much better alternative. Okay, what does Emily have to say to that? Unfortunately, this is true, but it's deeply ingrained in my psyche that I must salvage what is within my ability to salvage. Cost-benefit analyses are something I'm good at with dollar figures, but when it comes to my time, that's a massive question mark still. Okay, what about when you factor in the money from your audience into the cost-benefit analysis? They paid money for content. And not only do you not give them content, but you don't even keep them updated on why there is no content. Absolutely love what you did at 610 to censor the very familiar swears. They just love the editing. Like, welcome back. I it just blows me away. Everybody's like, "Wow, so glad to see you." Just don't care. They just don't care. It's been so long. And I mean, look. Let's see. How many people were there in this
Orders on
scroll?
Patreon, Ko-fi, and
I'm assuming one of these is the YouTube memberships and the other one is the Patreon. I'm not sure how to estimate if one of these is 500. Speed it up a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. That seems kind of short for 500. I'm not sure what maybe this is the Patreon people. So maybe that other one was the different tiers of the YouTube membership. I don't know. That's a long list of people that gave money, and they're all just completely fine with it. The closest thing to criticism you see in there is, oh man, your time is worth something, Emily. You should have just paid to get it fixed. Nowhere in there is anybody saying, you could have just paid to get it fixed and you could have probably borrowed a computer from somebody, maybe from your previous place of employment, or you could have just bought a $700 laptop in the meantime and then sell it afterwards and take a pretty minor loss. But no, everybody's like, oh, we love you, Emily. So great to see you back. Really? That's it. You're just straight happy. That doesn't bother you at all. I don't understand, and it's concerning to me because I don't see how this stops at any point in time where these content creators are just more and more content to mooch more and more off of their audience while providing less and less value because everybody's seemingly okay with it. Just utterly bizarre. I don't know what is wrong with the people who fund these YouTubers and the YouTubers that are so ungrateful. I really think if you think of it in the terms of the analogy I said earlier, where you're offering a place for your friend to stay, or a friend is offering you a place to stay temporarily, that should paint a pretty clear picture to you, right? Anybody who's not a POS is going to think, oh yeah, if my friend is letting me crash at their place for a little bit, I'm not going to dilly-dally. I'm not going to prolong the mooching. I'm going to be grateful and appreciative of what they're doing for me, and I'm going to do everything I can to get out of their hair as fast as possible. But there's none of that here. And all these people in the comments who just let Emily crash on their couch for 5 months don't have a single problem with it. That there was basically no effort to get out of their house in any reasonable amount of time. It makes 0 sense to me. 0 sense.